Hey, what's going on guys? Hawks21 here, back with another Splinterlands video. So I hope you guys had a really nice weekend. I took a little break, which is why you didn't get any uploads from me. But we're back, and I thought I would kick off this Monday with talking about or answering some questions in some of the comments I've gotten. I try to reply to a lot of them, but I'm getting more and more, so they start to build up. So I was overdue to sort of run through a few of them via this style of video. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start right up top. Do you think it's worth to rent power either on the middle of the season, or end of season? So I'm personally not the best person to ask for renting power advice. I guess my question would be, what's your goal through the rentals? Is it just to maximize the end of season loot chests you're getting? In which case, obviously you need to carry those rentals through the end of season to make sure you get the amount of chests you're looking for. Is it to maximize quest loot chests throughout the course of a season? Then renting in the middle is fine, but you just have to know that if you don't carry them through the end, you're going to lose out on the season end rewards. The only time I've really rented was I want to say probably like 3 to 4 seasons. When I was at this weird point, I basically had a really good silver deck that was a lot of untamed cards, and then even some alphas and betas. And I was at that point where I was ready to make the push into gold, and there was nothing else I really wanted to do in terms of deck building in silver. But I didn't want to make the investment into alpha and beta cards at the time, just because it was going to be so expensive to level up summoners. Even untamed, it was starting to get really, really expensive. So I decided that I've talked about this before, but Chaos Legion was going to be my big jump off point into gold. But that left 3 or 4 seasons where I was this weird in between, where I wasn't really worried about leveling up necessarily, but I was just sitting in silver. So I had to think of a way to sort of maximize my rewards. And what I did was I went for the leaderboard. And this is the only time I've ever really rented. Basically what I would do was, here, let me go to the leaderboard in silver. Yeah, I'm actually not terribly low in the gold leaderboard, but I'll get to that in a second. Or this is diamond, sorry. I'll get to the gold leaderboard in a second. So, silver leaderboard. Basically, what I would do was I would try to push into the top 10. They pay down to 25, I think. Yeah, 24. It's probably because there's some ties. I think it's 25. Basically, I would try to push into the top 10. And what I would do is I would have 3,000 to 4,000 DEC set aside for this purpose. So 2 days before the end of the season, I would basically rent for 2 days all of the best summoners, and then some of the best sort of meta cards that I didn't own, in order to finish up here. A couple times I think I finished third. I finished in the top 10 a few other times. I think I did it like 4 or 5 times, and it worked. I got top 10 every time. So basically what I was doing is I was spending 3,000 to 4,000 DEC the last 2 days of the season just getting rentals, playing a ton, and then leveling up. Not leveling up, and then winning, 10, and sometimes I think it was 20,000 DEC. So I was turning $3,000 to $4,000. I wish it was that. 3,000 to 4,000 DEC into 10 to a couple times 20,000 DEC. And that's really the only time I've ever rented. I've always been a huge proponent of buying the cards, just because, I've talked about the deflationary nature of the assets before. So I've always wanted to own them, and then, maybe I could even collect. I don't really rent out my cards that much. But as I continue to build my deck bigger and bigger and use less and less of my cards, I think renting cards out is going to start becoming a viable additional strategy for me to start building assets in this game. With that being said, I think I'm going to try that leaderboard strategy next season in gold. So right now, I've been going up to diamond because I have the power to do it. I actually almost have the power for Diamond too. I wonder if I should rent power to get there, or maybe I'll delegate it out at the end of the season. I don't know. Stay tuned for that. But I've been moving into Diamond just for the additional season end loot chests, as well as additional quest loot chests when I complete them. But I think next season I'm going to try to stay in gold and sort of do the same exact thing as I did prior. It's going to be more expensive. So I might need to set aside, maybe 10,000 DEC or something like that. Yeah, that'll probably be my goal. 10,000 DEC, maybe 8. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I haven't rented in a while, but maybe we can do 8,000 DEC to try to win 20. Basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to play a lot more than I normally do. So I'm going to grind all season just to get my rating as high. I'm not going to care about my ECR really. And then end of season, last 2 to 3 days, depending on how the market is, I'm going to rent all of the best cards in the game. I'm going to rent all of the best summoners and then a few key cards that will help me win at gold. Like, for example, the cube. I need the cube. I'll probably have a llama. For the poison battles, llama cube is just unstoppable. And when you play sort of these higher level players, and you don't have those sort of auto win cards, you're going to have a tough time beating them. So I'm going to try that next season. But sort of long-winded way, I don't really know. It depends on your goal, is what I would say. I've never really had a ton of success outside of the leaderboard strategy renting profitably. But I know that there are people who do it. So unfortunately, I think I'm the wrong person to ask. If you want to give me some more information, Danielson, I'd be happy to provide a more specific answer. I just don't know what exactly your goal is for the rentals. And remember to leave your in-game name. I'll send some DEC for anything that starts conversation like that did. At what point do you think it's best to sell DEC? Like you say, chances are it'll hit floor price when the airdrop ends. I'm holding a lot of DEC and just wondering when you think the best time to sell will be. Thanks. I mean, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? I mean, if I knew, the perfect time to get out of DEC, one, I don't know if I would tell you guys because that would change the perfect time, right? If everyone knew when the perfect time was, people would front run that. But I would, do it at the perfect time. I think 100 days out, people think really, really short term in this space. So I think, how many more days do we have? It's at least 100. Yeah, we're talking 125. Oh, 135. Good math. With 135 days, I don't think people are really thinking about or planning ahead for the end of this. But as we get closer and closer, I'm definitely going to be more cautious. I'm in the middle of flipping some cards, which is why my DEC level is so low. Once those sell, hopefully I'll pick it back up. And I made a couple purchases, which I'll get into in my upcoming investment video that'll be coming out probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday. But yeah, once we get to 80 days left, I'll probably, be less inclined to hold DEC. What will I put it in? Who knows? Maybe I'm stacking SPS. Maybe vouchers are like 70 cents at that point. And I say, you know what? Like, I'm really going to want Rift Watchers. Seems like vouchers are going to be a part of Rift Watchers. And I start stacking some more vouchers. I don't really know. But I sort of plan to reassess at each milestone. Because another thing you could see is the DEC price slowly just keep ticking down, right? Because that's kind of what it's done, is slowly tick lower and lower and lower. You could see a similar phenomenon where, like, right now it's in 0.0033. Maybe all of a sudden in 20 days it's drifted down to 0029. So it might not be an immediate drop. It might just be a slow little trickle. But I'm just going to keep watching it. I'll let you guys know, obviously, as I change my plans. I will change them first and then let you guys know. But yeah, it's something I'm just going to be watching. I unfortunately don't know the perfect time. But as it gets closer, I'll become more and more cautious holding my DEC for sure. I do think there's some time, though. It seems like people in this space don't plan 135 days in advance. Good question. Again, in-game name, would love to give you guys some DEC for this. Okay. You mentioned that you built a new account using water, earth, and quicks. Was wondering, okay, so this is on my new account video. was running, what do you do when you get a fire, life, or death quest? Do you just click new quest or just grind with a below average splinter? I'm considering purchasing a new account to give a scholar. Any help is always much appreciated. Great content. Learned about Snipe by watching your battles. Thank you. All right. Thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. And then for your top stuff. So, yeah, if I get a fire, life, or death quest, I'm basically always, for the first one, going to hit skip. I don't, at all level ones, I don't really have a preference between these guys. It's going to be hard regardless. So I'll always hit skip. And there's some good math behind it. There's a reason why I ended up building 3 splinters out. So think about this. Here's 6 splinters, right? So that's 1 out of 6. Then you have to add in the no neutrals, the snipe, and the sneak. Am I missing one? I think that's it, right? The 6 splinters, the no neutrals, the snipe, and the sneak. So these 3 I'm golden, right? Sneak, I'm golden because I have sneak monsters. You know, I can use water with the Pellicore Bandit, quicks with the Pellicore Bandit. Snipe, same situation. I have less good snipe monsters, but I can use a starter snipe monster with, you know, my other leveled up cards. Same with no neutrals. I can use these 3 splinters and just not put in neutral monsters and use my leveled up cards. Obviously not ideal, and I'm sort of forced to play a certain way, but I still get them pretty quickly just based on being able to use these cards. So that's 6 out of the 9, right? So these 3 splinters and then no neutrals, sneak, and snipe, I have no problem getting pretty quickly. So that's a 66% chance right off the bat. And if I get one of those 6, I won't skip it regardless. Because I just want to use my leveled up cards because it'll be quicker. So that's a 66.66666 repeating percent chance that I get a daily quest that I'm not going to skip. That leaves a 3 out of 9 chance that I get one of these, right? So then let's say I get fire. I hit skip on fire. So we can take fire out of the equation because when you hit skip, you can't get the same one again. That now means that there is a, what is it? It is a 6 out of 8 because you got to remove both. So there's still 6 of the good ones that I like. We can't get fire anymore. And there's only 2 that I don't like. So 6 out of 8 is a 75% chance that then it's going to switch to get the one that I like. Now let's pull up my calculator here and I can give you the real math. So basically right off the bat, I'm going to do it the opposite way because I think it'll be more telling. I have a 33 point, all of that, chance of getting a quest I don't like. So either fire, light, or death. I get one of those, I hit skip. It is now a 25% chance because it's just the two that are left. If I got fire, it's just life or death. And the remaining 6. So it's a 2 out of 8, which is a 25% chance. So I multiply that by 25. It is only an 8% chance on a given day that I am going to get one of these 3, skip it, and then get another one of the 2 remaining. So 91.7% of days, I am going to get one of the 6 quests that I can use leveled up cards and complete quickly. So I really like those odds. Obviously, there are the 8% of days where I just have to grind through them, which is exactly what you said, right? So I just have to grind with a below average splinter. I don't rent cards to try to do it. I just know that morning I'm going to have to play way more battles to make sure that I win my daily quest. Obviously, these odds greatly improve if you were to add another splinter, right? And they greatly decrease if I only have 2 splinters, which again is part of the reason why I went with 3. But you know, with my new account, if I build up one of these splinters, the math looks even better. You know, I'm not going to calculate it all out, but this number would be even lower. So that's basically how I think of it. It's a pretty low chance, 8%, that I'm going to get back-to-back of these. But in the cases that I do, I'll just grind out with a below-average splinter. There's nothing else I can really do. I want the 2 loot chests. It's sort of one of my main ways of generating revenue in this one for now. So that's what I do. I'm hoping one of these 8% days occurs at some point so I can show you guys grinding it out. But until that happens, for my own personal sake, I am going to keep doing the easier ones where I get to do leveled up cards. You've commented a bunch before. I appreciate it. I bet I could go find your in-game name somewhere, but I got to keep the rules the same. Again, put your in-game name. I'll do one or two more. Thanks for showing some battles. As a future recommendation for a video, I was trying to understand the supply of cards and their impact on price. For example, there are 10k total Spirit Grog legendary cards. However, there are more than 5x that many Jin O'Shaughnesses. Yep. Even though I love O'Shaughnessy, unless there's a big boost in player growth, doesn't it make sense that O'Shaughnessy would remain 1/5 of the value, all other things being equal? Curious to hear your opinion. Yeah, no, so this is a really great point. I've seen a lot of people comment sort of like, how can Jin O'Shaughnessy be this cheap, or how can Pelacor Bandit be this? Pelacor Bandit's a good example. Like, how can Pelacor Bandit be this cheap when, this beta sneak monster is this expensive? Pelacor Bandit's way better. That could be true. Like, the utility of Pelacor Bandit could be higher, but there's still the part of scarcity, as Muhammad mentions. And it's a really important thing to consider. It's the both sides of it. It's the utility plus the scarcity. Now, if a card has zero utility, right? Like if it's a terrible card that's unusable, unplayable, it doesn't matter if there's 100 of them, right? I mean, I guess there are some people who just collect rare items, as you can see from some of the dragon cards that aren't that good, that they're very, very expensive. But, if they were to release more and more of that type of card, if the card was terrible and it had no utility, it doesn't really matter how scarce it is in terms of playing in the game, if you assume that that's everyone's goal, which is to play in the game. But then on the flip side, if you have a card that has insane amounts of utility, but zero scarcity, like everyone has it, or it's, there's just tons and tons and tons of them available, like you could say for O'Shaughnessy right now, it's a great card, but there's, it's very easy to get an O'Shaughnessy. If you play long enough, you'll eventually pull one from a quest. There's that aspect too, and the price is going to stay low because there's never really that opportunity for, FOMO, because there is no missing out because there's so many of them. So the math of one, but it doesn't line up 1-to-1, right? So like, just because there's 1/5 of the value of O'Shaughnessy's doesn't mean it's going to be 1/5 of the price of the Spirit Grog, because of the utility factor, right? Like, maybe it's, I don't know if you could work it out to like an actual formula for utility, but if you could, right? If the O'Shaughnessy was twice as useful as the Spirit Grog, but the Spirit Grog was 5 times more scarce, the O'Shaughnessy wouldn't be 5 times less than the Spirit Grog, right? Because it's more useful. So it'd be somewhere in between, right? It would be like 2.5 times because it has double the utility. So it's not as simple as just looking at the supply. You have to also factor in the utility. But this is a really smart way to think about it right now. And I agree with you. Unless there's a big boost in player growth. So that's one of the two factors, right? It's player/money growth, because that's part of it too. If you have a ton of players come in that don't put any money into the game, that's worse than if 100 new players come in that put, $1 million a piece into the buying cards, right? The second one, even though it's way less players, is more advantageous for the Splinterlands. I guess for the prices of Splinterlands cards. I don't know about long term, what would be better for Splinterlands, but for the short term prices of cards, it would be better to have less users spending more money, as opposed to a ton of users who spend $0, basically, or very little money. So player/money growth is very important, as well as time, because as I've talked about before, the deflationary nature of these cards, as time goes on, more and more players are going to level up these cards, which is going to mean the supply is going to start decreasing and these cards become more and more scarce. Now, ideally, those two things are working together, right? The more players or more money that come into the game, the more people or more dollars that are being spent to level up cards, and people want to compete at the highest level, so they have to level up their cards. And so the supply of these cards start to decrease. It'll be very curious what happens once we get fully, released the O'Shaughnesses and the, Pelacor Bandits and the Pelacor Conjurers. I'll probably have a video on this soon. It might be looped in with the investment video. But once those are all released, the scarcity starts to increase as people level them up. Yeah, I don't know if I have more to say on that. I've talked about it before. But it's important to know the supply. Just know that it's two factors. It is the supply of the card as well as the utility, and those work together. And you can sort of have an idea based on that, but you can't look at two cards from two different sets and be like, Jin O'Shaughnessy should be more than the Spirit Grog because it's a better card, which I think that it is. But because, as Muhammad mentions, the Spirit Grog is way more scarce. You did put your IGN. Perfect. I'm going to send you some DEC. Guys, be like Muhammad, and if you want some in-game currency sent your way, put in your in-game name. Nope, looks like I've sent you some before. Send you 300 DEC. Transfer out. Cool. You should get that. I'll wait for it to confirm. I'll do one more question. I just read it, so it's a pretty quick one that I think would be useful information. All right, yeah, it just came out. I had 14K. You can see right here. Now I have the 13,700 something. So enjoy that, Muhammad. Thanks for the comment. Then last one. Is there a list of all the healers in the game somewhere? Peter, yes, there is. So I think I have a tab. Yep, okay, right here. If you go to Splinter Cards, and you go to Tools, if you go to Gameplay, and you go to Abilities. So I did that a little quick. If you click this arrow on Gameplay and hit Abilities. This will bring up all of the abilities. And what you can do is, if you don't know the pictures, you can hit Switch to Names, and it'll show the names, but I do it based off the icons. And right here, I don't know if you meant self-heal or tank heal, so I'll show you both. If you hit tank heal, what it's going to do is it's going to show you every single card in the game that offers tank heal. So, right, you can scroll down, and then you can also sort of, if you're like, ooh, I need a fire healer, right? You click here. This is the only healer in fire. If you're like, oh, I need a earth healer. I know earth has a few. But here are all my options, right? So you can find specifically what you want. The other thing to notice is that it shows the abilities that they show that this card has is not always accurate to its level. But this number right here in the middle shows you at what level the card gets tank heal. So you can see here that Albatross, which is a common card, gets tank heal at 6. So if you're playing in silver, you know the Albatross, you can't use it with the heal because you can only use commons to level 5. But then you can see Crustacean King gets it at 1. So this is a beta card, so you won't be able to use it in Modern. So know that. But if you're building a deck for Wild, then you're like, I want a water healer for a water tank healer. You can see that for the silver or bronze leagues, you can see that there are 2 options here for 1. Actually, you'll get this in the starter deck. So maybe you're like, I want an additional healer. I want 2 healers. Same thing here. The Chimer Princess at 4, right? So you need, in silver, it gets a tank heal. But before that, it doesn't have it. So yeah, Splinter Cards is a very helpful tool. I'll also do just normal heal. So this is self-heal. Monsters do this. And then you can see every single monster and their level that has self-heal. It includes some Gladius cards. So again, these cards are just for Brawl, so you don't need to worry about this. Here's some more examples of that. But yeah, it's splintercards right here, .com. I'm on this site constantly. As I'm sort of looking for new cards and new abilities to add to my deck and improve it. All right, that's going to be it for today. I'm hope those, again, Peter, leave your in-game name, and I will send you some DEC next time you ask a question. Yeah, that's it for today. I really, really appreciate these comments. I try to answer them really quickly. I saved some of the good ones. As you can see, I replied to other ones. I get more comments than this, so I try to do it as much as I can, but I save some of the good ones that I know I'll be able to talk about for videos like this with you guys, because other people have these same questions. But yeah, again, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I appreciate you being back here on a Monday with me. If you enjoyed the content or learned anything new, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. We are just past 600 subscribers. Going to start the formal push to 1,000 at some point soon. We'll do some massive giveaway. I don't know exactly what yet, but you'll definitely want to be in the first 1,000. I'll tell you that much. All right, yeah. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.